how do you manage recalling sessions in your mastering studio? So this is our Dolby Atmos mixing studio. This is all digitally recallable. So we've got, bang, instantly recalled. In our other studio next door, we have our analog mastering chain. Now, the problem we've got with the analog stuff is that obviously it's got to be recalled. You dial anything in, hands on, bosh, dial it in, you walk away, you work on another session, you change that setting, you come, if you are asked to do a revision, you come back to that session, nothing's as it was. Okay, so the way that we recall sessions, now we used to recall sessions, right? The old school way of doing it was you had sheets, and you had sheets of paper, and you'd recall, you'd basically take that sheet of paper and you'd draw down where each of the points parameters go, and you'd have recall sheets, and you'd come back, you'd recall that session, get the sheet out, dial it in based on that. Fast forward quite a few years, we then started taking pictures. So you then would have your digital camera, you'd take a picture of the piece of hardware, you'd save that into the session, you just put that in as an image into the session, and then when it came to recalling that session, you'd open the image, and based on the image, you'd copy the image. Okay, so that was the next way of doing it. Now we have the way that is currently the best way to do it, and the best way to do it is using a program called Session Recall. Now, Session Recall is brilliant. What it basically is, it's a piece of software, right, that has plugins. Let's say that they're plugin emulations visually. They do nothing in the background. All they are is a GUI. So they've got a GUI that is exactly the same as the piece of hardware. So the hardware and the software look identical. They have the same stepped parameters as well. So what you do then is you look at your piece of hardware. You look at your piece of hardware, and let's say you've got a parameter gain to 2 dB. Then you get the mouse, you move on Session Recall, you set that to 2 dB. Now, Session Recall does nothing to the sound, does nothing to anything. It is just a GUI that is changeable, and it's exactly the same as the piece of hardware. You can buy pretty much every single piece of hardware for Session Recall. Very, very, very reasonably priced. The software is free, and then you buy each piece of hardware that you've got. So, and that is priced at something around, I mean, you're talking like $2, $5, or is it in euros? Can't think. But it's not a lot of money. It's really not a lot of money. Obviously, if you've got like our analog studio, you've got maybe 30 different units, you know, 30 times 5, you're talking about 150 quid to do all your chain. But basically the way we think about it is you just factor in, you buy a new piece of equipment, you buy Session Recall, you buy the GUI plugin that goes into Session Recall. Now, the great thing about it is it's identical. So the majority of plugins, anything like that, the majority of hardware rather, they're stepped parameters, so you can get bang on exactly where it is. Recalling a session, right, with pictures, the problem with recalling a session, if you take a picture on your phone, for instance, and then copy that setting, is it can be slightly off, you know, from the angle, from seeing that part of the unit to the other side of the unit, you can see it differently, and you might not get it right. And even 0.5 of a dB when mastering is a lot. So then when you use Session Recall, it is bang on accurate to where you put it, to where it is on the hardware. So you just literally look at the screen and you dial it in, copying exactly what's on the screen. Session Recall is the best way to recall any hardware. I mean, they literally do everything now. They do all the big consoles, they do pretty much everything, and it is by far the best way to recall your analog sessions.